Okay. Here we are for the last live stream. It's sad, but it's the last live stream. So, I'll wait for some people to get in here. Let's bring up the recordings we have. This one. Okay. So we have a mix here. Hello, Taylor. Welcome. So the original sentence I gave you guys is that's not a bad idea, but when I was trying to remember when I scheduled the live, I thought it was the positive instead of the negative. So instead of saying that's not a bad idea, I changed it to that's a great idea. It doesn't really matter. We're going to analyze it either way. Basically the same thing. So some people sent both of those sentences, some just sent one, and we're just going to go off of whatever we have. I have a question. Okay, what is your question? Hello, I'm gonna Shelley. Let's see, that's a great idea. Was that? There it is. Okay. Yeah, so the first one would be Mubina. So I download this, save. I gotta share my screen with you guys. So the question, have you heard people in the US pronounce pasta with the vowels and cats like pasta? Not commonly, no. To me, it sounds weird. It definitely stands out. I can imagine maybe some Midwesterners saying pasta. I can imagine maybe some people in the Northeast saying it that way. But at least as far as my experience goes, I wouldn't recommend that. It sounds weird. But it does exist, yes. It's just, to me, like, which I guess this might not necessarily fit with your background, but hello, Fernando. I have a lot of comparison in my head between like Spanish and English and how gringos sound, especially to Mexicans, because I've talked a lot. My main language exchange partner was a Mexican woman. And so we would compare that, and she told me how like Mexicans have like a mocking pronunciation, of Americans. So like quiero queso, something like that. And so to me, saying pasta, it feels to me kind of like that. Like, not saying that these people aren't natives or that they're wrong necessarily, but it stands out so much to me. It kind of feels like I imagine a Spanish speaker feels when someone says like queso or quiero instead of queso, quiero. So I don't know. It's just weird. Anyway, we are going to go to the downloads, and we're going to grab this one, and I need to share my screen, which I already said. I don't even have Audacity up. We're going to share the screen. Behold, Magic the Gathering in all of its glory. Let's open Audacity. Okay, skip. I need to record this. Since this one's the positive one, I'll record the positive one. I'll do the negative one later. Al, why would you delete your message? I was reading that. That's rude. You're welcome, Taylor. Okay. That's a great idea. Okay. So I just said there's different intonations we could use. Just try to kind of do it in a standard, somewhat neutral, upbeat. It would probably be upbeat by default. So amplify this. Oh, I didn't share my audio. Stop sharing. Oh, maybe I did. No, I didn't. Okay, there it is. This one. Share. Okay. Now tell me you guys can hear this. That's a great idea. Still very low. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Okay, hopefully you guys can hear that. Perfect. And also, can get become get in fast speech? It doesn't even have to be fast speech. Notice I said can get become get. Pronouncing get is the fully enunciated version, which in my opinion is actually much less common. The get is just a reduction. That's all it is. It's just a reduced form. It has nothing to do with speaking fast. It's just the reduced form of it. But definitely in fast speech, yeah, it would be even more common. Yes, we can hear it. Good, perfect. Okay, and we're going to bring our recording in. This is from Mobina. I always do that. I don't know why. Cut, paste, not there. Technology is not working.
That's a great idea.
Okay, very nice. I like the intonation there. Sounds a little bit more positive and cheerful than I said it. But still, and that's fantastic. That's another way that it could come out. So we already have a good result from Mobina. So we'll compare here. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Okay. So that's a great idea. So the way I'm saying it, it's still kind of upbeat, you know, but it's a little neutral. It's a little flatter. Like I'm not super excited about it necessarily, but it's like, yeah, that's a great idea. Sure, yeah, let's do that. Whereas it's like,
That's a great idea.
that's a great idea. Like, wow, that's awesome. That's amazing. So they both work. They're both perfectly fine. Great intonation. Hello, sorry, I had a writing mistake. I know. I feel your pain, but don't worry, because a lot of people make writing mistakes because guess what? You're learning English and you're on a channel about learning English. And so the writing mistakes are part of the experience. That's fine. Don't worry about it. But I get it. We want to be perfect. We want to not make the mistakes. Anyway, I wanted to send you my recording. Unfortunately, I didn't find your email. Well, since today's the last day, there you go. Oh, sorry. Yeah. That's should probably be the full thing. That's just how I think about it. So it's at Gmail. So at Gmail, just regular gmail.com. You need the dots. If we have time, we have yours would be the last in the queue since you're the last one. But I don't know if I got a recording from you before, so maybe I can squeeze it in since you haven't gotten feedback. So we'll try to get to everybody today.
That's a great idea.
Okay, so if we analyze, let's do breath. All right, so let's listen for breath. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. I feel like this could be even louder. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Okay, so it can kind of seem like maybe I'm a little low on breath here, and I'm probably on the lower range of it. I mean, I only woke up actually, I woke up 2 hours ago, a little more than 2 hours ago. I woke up early today because I just woke up early. But I'm still kind of, morning, whatever. So I'm a little lazy. That's a great idea. Waking up. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. And then we see this little trail here. All right. Okay. We also have a trail here, which is nice. You can hear that a little breath there. That's nice. Good. Okay.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
It does sound. That's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
I don't know if I can really knock much on the breath. It does sound kind of like you're on the lower end of the breath, kind of like I am. So I guess you're within range. So for both of us, it could ideally maybe be just a little bit more, but you're fine.
That's a great idea.
Okay, if we do posture, let's try to listen to some posture details. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. So one thing that I used with a student recently to help them visualize this, so we were talking about the back of the tongue and not having it like curled up and being tight, because that's usually the case for a lot of languages. So that's supposed to be sort of like down, you know, you need stabilizer muscles to hold it in place. But then if we go through the middle section, right, we have our pillars. The front of the tongue lines up with the alveolar ridge. We have our hinge on the fourth tooth. The sixth tooth, roughly, is about where the center of gravity would be on the tongue if we draw a line. And then roughly the start of the soft palate is about where the middle of the back of the tongue would line up, roughly. But if we go to the center, the middle area, right, it's like there's a ball there. And if you tend to either push the tongue forward or slant it forward, or your center of gravity is further forward, it's very easy to kind of get that ball over this way instead of over this way. And so if we imagine that space in the middle, in combination with the back of the tongue being, not pushed forward, it's lower, it's sort of held and stabilized there. And then the middle, we're kind of moving around that ball, right? Like I've talked about before in the past. And if you can sort of visualize that as you're listening to what I'm saying, then it can kind of give you a little picture of what your ears are picking up to match to your mouth. So that's a great idea. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Like the middle of my mouth is just this ball. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Right here, let's see.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
So I'm hearing here that the back seems like it might be fine. I think the middle is maybe a little too high. I'm getting probably we have this shape, which is okay. It might be a little too much tension. It does seem a little flat in the middle, not completely, but if I map what I'm hearing, I kind of feel like I want to raise the middle of my tongue just a little bit, flatten it out slightly. I still have the shape, I still have the center of gravity, but
That's a great idea.
it's maybe a little push forward, especially up here. It's kind of like stuck forward a little bit. The back, I don't think is necessarily forward, but I've noticed that once people start getting the back in place and stabilizing it, the rest of the tongue still wants to kind of like reach forward and scoop around like this. And we want to avoid that as well.
That's a great idea.
Because remember, you're supposed to be lined up with that, the bump of the alveolar ridge, and the E can stretch a little bit. The TH obviously stretches. The L can stretch. So there's some sounds where you can stretch the front, maybe a little bit with middle, but it shouldn't be stuck there, right? It should just be used for those sounds.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
So it's a little shallow. Let's see.
That's it.
That's it. I think it's within range. It sounds really good, but
That's it.
that's a
That's it.
could be a little bit more fully formed. Could be because of that middle area being a little too shallow, not quite having the full center of gravity in place, and it's kind of throwing things off a little bit. But it's within range. It sounds like the right sound.
That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it.
Probably nitpicking here a little, actually.
That's it. That's it.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Now, see, notice the that's it. That's it. Like it feels like this whole section is just kind of like up. That's it. That's it. That's it. It's probably within range, but for how things feel in my mouth, it seems a little forward, a little high, particularly in this area around where the hinge is. So you might want to kind of like relax and lower that just a little bit more. That's
Great idea. Great idea.
okay. The it sounds almost like kind of like it's like halfway into a W. Very, very light R. If I'm not really listening to it, I don't really pick it out much, but
Great idea.
Back of the tongue is probably a little too high. Which, by the way, I'm really trying to nitpick Mobinas because it sounds fantastic. It's really, really high. I'm trying to find anything that I can find here. Even if like it's good, it's fine. Like any other person would say, why are you this person's great. It's like, yeah, I'm trying to give you something, some little tips here that might improve some things, just that tiny little 0.5% more. Feels like the back of the tongue is maybe a little too high, a little out of place, something going on here. you might not quite be fully fully forming the R enough, which we could do sort of a lazier R, but it's sort of like you're like barely getting into that R to like where it's just barely lazy. So it could definitely be a little bit more fully formed.
Great idea.
Also coming from the G into the R, I think that's part of the problem. Like G, G, G. Feels like there's lots of, or not much space here. And you're maybe kind of shortcutting. So we want to let the back of the tongue fully release that G, and then it's going to kind of maybe get out of the way. So it's going to grr, grr, grr. So it kind of feels like the back of my tongue is doing this between the J and the R. And then, of course, the middle will shape into the R.
Great idea. Great idea.
Yeah, definitely hear a little bit of a W. You also might want to look at your lips when you're doing that R, because we don't want even if you're doing it's fine if it's a fully formed but if it's too lazy, it might sound a bit more like a W. The does like this, like like I said in the R lesson, if there's a W in front of it, like wrong, we don't say like we're wrong, but you can use the W shape. You can say wrong and it's fine, but you have to have that R fully formed enough. And if the back of your tongue is out of place, like it's too high, that can also interfere and make it sound like it's a little closer to a W, like oh, 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 oh. It's kind of unclear which one it is, but you're mostly there. It's just a little tweaking could maybe make it just a little bit better.
Great idea. Great idea. Great idea. Great idea.
So great an idea. It almost sounds choppy. Great idea. Great idea.
Great idea.
Great idea. Right. Great idea. So ignore the intonation because we don't care. That's fine. But great idea. Great idea. Great idea. See, it's all one breath. Da da da. Da da da. Where yours is almost like da da da. Da da da. Da da da. Da da da. Great idea. Great idea.
Great idea.
Oops.
Great idea.
Great idea. There's this little like almost separation here. But within range, I guess it could be a little bit better.
Idea. Idea.
Oops.
Idea. Idea.
And then,
Idea.
yeah, again with that schwa, with your E, it kind of sounds like we're kind of up here. Your is like great idea, great idea,
Idea.
idea, idea. It's like almost in place, but it's just like a little bit off. Idea, 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 idea.
Idea.
Right. Great idea, great idea, 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 great idea.
Idea.
Idea. It's almost like dia, like in Spanish, like dia, kind of. I think you're getting a little bit pulled towards like that Spanish or many languages tend to have that sort of sound. We have it at the start of I. It's a common mistake to end up letting the schwa kind of move towards that sound. Finn is here, long time no see. Do you still occasionally answer very specific? I do. This is actually the last live stream and perhaps the last thing that will ever be put on the channel, potentially. So if you have questions, ask them now. We're doing analysis, and that's the primary focus. But if you have a specific question, now is the time to answer it. Myers, I hope you can review it. Okay. Let me double check that I got that. Oh, we're about to move. Yeah, I got it. So we're going to move on to the next recording. Great job, Mobina. Little details to nitpick at. It sounds...
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Aside from the I would say that this sounds pretty much native.
That's a great idea.
It's very, very, very good. And some people might even say your uhs sound fine. I don't know. That's just me, how I say it, how it feels in my mouth. You're definitely in the neighborhood of native, just like 0.5% off, maybe here and there. So very, very good. Little tiny room for improvement, but even if you didn't improve anything, you'd be doing fantastic. Next is King Lion. Okay, so he did the negative one here. That's not a bad idea. And this one, I already listened to this one because he said, I tried to say it slower and my tongue was more relaxed than it normally is. And I already know this one sounds fantastic. So you guys can listen to hear the improvement because we've gone through a few different recordings from King Lion / Taylor. Paste this up here. What is that? That was the wrong button. There we go. Okay, and then I need to record the negative because I'm a grow Audacity why you gotta be. Because this is the negative one, so that's not a bad idea. I'm gonna put this here. That's not a bad idea. Again, intonation can vary a little bit. Trying to keep it more or less neutral. But sentences always come out of context, so amplify. Why is that so low? That's amazingly low. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. Okay, good. And then we're gonna listen to why did I do that? That's awful. I made them into one. Wait, this is over here. Oh my god, why did it go over there? It was supposed to record here. I'm so confused. Oh well. Always with the technical difficulties. Luckily, I know how to use this program enough. Okay, so we're going to compare these two. We're going to clean this up a little bit. And let me check the chat. How are we doing, chat? Oh, wait, damn. Yeah, no, it's been a while, Finn. How do I send a recording? I usually use Voker. You got me out here feeling like a boomer. LOL, MG. Hello, Mr. Pretzel. So we probably won't have time. We already just had one other person send in a last minute recording. You can send it, but yeah, I'm limited on my time here. Long story short, you can go watch the end of the last live stream, and I kind of explained it, and I read this, somewhat dramatic thing that I've written out. I'm not going to identify specifically what it is because it's personal, but life is changing, and I feel more like a substitute teacher than an actual teacher at this point. So you can go watch that for some more details. Maybe someday in the future, I'll reveal what it is, but for now, it's my business, and it's at the end of the day, it's a positive thing, but very tumultuous. The last few weeks have been very stressful and trying to figure some things out and very existential stuff. So anyway, let's listen to this. So that's not a bad idea. It's me. And now for the big reveal.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
Okay. That's not a bad idea. Now I said it with a different intonation. We're going to ignore that. That's not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, so we say, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. So here, it's the intonation sounds a little bit more like I don't know, he's trying to figure something out or whatever, and he asks a friend, and then the friend is like, well, what about this? And he's like, that's not a bad idea. Like, yeah, you're right. That makes sense. So intonation is perfectly fine. A little different than how I recorded it here, but that's not a problem.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
Okay.
That's not a bad idea.
So compared to previous recordings, right, the tongue was way too high. There was not much space in the mouth. Obviously, it was a lot faster than this, which in itself isn't necessarily a problem, but it was probably contributing to the lack of control.
That's not a bad idea.
Back of the tongue is much more relaxed. I do notice on idea.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Idea.
It's kind of like Mobina. It's like it's probably within range. Other natives would probably say it's fine.
Idea.
It does seem a little bit like you're going towards that just slightly, but it sounds like a schwa.
Idea.
But other than that,
that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, much improved from before. There's not a whole lot that I can say about this. If Abdullah or A were here, especially since this is Taylor's recording, he'd probably be pointing things out left and right.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
But yeah, that's not a bad idea. Okay, breath.
That's not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. So you can hear that little extra breath at the end.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
So it does seem like maybe the breath is just under. It's a little low. Maybe you're kind of holding it a little bit instead of letting it fully just come out. So the breath could maybe be a little bit better. That's not a bad idea. I think
That's not a bad idea.
your posture could maybe be very slightly slanted forward. Not necessarily a problem, but
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
that's not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea. Idea. So the D, this isn't necessarily wrong, but if we listen to idea, a bad idea, a bad idea, bad idea, bad idea, bad idea, a bad idea. Okay, and then here,
A bad idea. A bad idea.
bad idea, but it just sounds like a little bit harsher. Like it's a good D. There's nothing wrong with the D, but and then maybe just like the length go in the D. Bad idea, idea.
Bad idea.
Idea. So again, it probably fits with the intonation. It's not really a problem. I'm having difficulty picking out problems with this one as well. So I'm just trying to grab at something. So very good. I don't want to waste too much time on this because we have other people and they're probably not as good. You guys are doing really great. So hopefully I'm cringing at my intonation. Hey, your intonation is fine. It's very, very good. Let me see what else we got here. From Brazil, welcome. Vamos ver. Okay. I mean, I don't particularly want my feedback. I just felt like all this time I hung out here, it'd be very, you know what I sound like. That's up to you. I did think of maybe setting up a Discord call with you, but that feels kind of personal, and maybe you wouldn't be too big on the idea. I don't really use Discord. I don't even have a Discord account or whatever. Like, Discord's weird. Or maybe I do. Yeah, I don't use Discord. Thank you for sharing this information. I would like you to send a shout out to Brazil, Professor Marcos. Okay, well, shout out to Brazil. Shout out to Professor Marcos. Brasil. I don't know enough about Portuguese to form a sentence, but eu gosto Brasil in my terrible Portuguese accent. But yeah, I've never been to Brazil, but I know I had a couple students from there. One I met in real life, really great guy. Generally, I like Brazilians. Your culture is interesting. People are interesting. Your politics are interesting. I don't really follow that stuff too much, but I've heard things here and there. So yeah. Cool. Very nice. He has improved a lot. Yeah, I know, right? See, even Fernando agrees. His D is also kind of palatalized an idea. Yeah, that's why it kind of stood out to me if I'm looking for it, but I don't really see too much of an issue with it. Call T-Nex. Sorry. Hello. Welcome. Thank you. You're welcome. Exactly. Not the politics. I know. I don't know if I can say for sure because I don't know all the policies and all the people and stuff, but let's just say that if I were Brazilian, I probably would have voted for what is it, Lula da Silva. So take that as you will. I don't know what side of the fence you sit on. But anyway, can you do the pronunciation of the word air? What is the first vowel? Sure. So you can watch my lesson on Our Colored Vowels the Easy Way Part 2. If you just type that in plus English accent, you'll probably find it. So you can say it with air, that's fine. But it's just so like the shorty. I don't call it the shorty because that's nonsense, but the like in bed, right? Like in bed. So air. Yeah. It's very funny, I know, right? Any political opinion is valued. I don't really care. This level of political division is stupid. Yeah, I know. Things are crazy. But that's okay. We're all gonna die anyway, so just enjoy the ride while we can. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3 more plus the fourth new one. So we have 4 more to get through. We're running out of time here. Bar. Okay, so Bar sent both recordings. We'll go ahead and listen. It's all in one file. We'll listen to both of them, but we'll just probably focus on one. Open. We're going to drop this in here. So Bar did very, very well last time. We'll see if that stays the same. Okay, so first one.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
You sound like The Godfather.
That's not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea. I can't do the accent, but
That's not a bad idea.
yeah, the accent generally sounds pretty neutral, but it's just like the breath and the intonation. It sounds like The Godfather.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
And this one sounds kind of like a breathy Jerry Seinfeld, if you know Seinfeld.
That's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
Okay, so there's not necessarily anything wrong with those things. The point is that both of these do sound kind of dramatic, a little overdone. There's a bit too much breath. The accent, let's see.
That's not a bad idea. That's a great idea. That's not a bad idea. That's a great idea.
Accent sounds very, very nice. It definitely sounds American to me. Maybe a little bit flavored towards a bit of a New York sound, very, very slight, especially like on idea. But it sounds American for sure. And I think overall it sounds pretty neutral.
That's not a bad idea. That's a great idea. That's not a bad.
So you're definitely overdoing the intonation. Right. If you listen to mine here, that's a great idea. Right. Again, there's various intonations like we saw. Mobina did a good one that was a little bit more upbeat. That's a great idea. But that's a great idea. Or that's a great idea. Yeah. This one.
That's not a bad idea.
Sorry, not the other one. This one.
That's a great idea.
Like, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. It just sounds like everything because, again, you're kind of like doing too much. It's not as much. I think the first recording we saw, it was like everything was just way too high. There's more variation here, which is good, but it's still kind of like pieces that shouldn't be as high and emphasized are still kind of getting as high and emphasized. And so it's just making it kind of sound dramatic, right? That's a great idea, right? That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea.
See, it's kind of da 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 da. So it's still, you still got to tone it down a little bit. I think your biggest issue overall, aside from that little extra breath, you got to tone down the breath a little bit in some parts, especially towards the end. Again, we don't want to just put extra breath at the end. We want to keep the breath even through all of speech, and then when we reach the end of what we're saying, it sort of trails down with the voice and then continues a little bit with the voice. So you may be trying to like force too much breath at the end in order to kind of get an effect there, but it's more about like you see here, there's this little trail here, right? And then you just like, you have a breath there, but it's like it's not trailing off. It's sort of like you have that little extra breath you're letting go of, but you're not actually trailing it. So it kind of feels a little abrupt. It's not too bad, but you just kind of got to taper it a little bit more. Anyway, the main thing that I think you would need to work on at this point is much less the accent, a little bit with the breath, maybe a little bit with the center of gravity here and there, but it's mostly getting the right rhythm. Not even the intonation is necessarily a problem. There's maybe a little bit with that because if you overdo things, it's going to affect the intonation too. But just getting that right rhythm, making sure that the unstressed syllables are short and quiet, not just neutral, but short and quiet, and then the unstressed or the stressed syllables are louder and longer. That's a great idea, right? That's right because I'm pointing out. Oh, that's a great idea, right? So you see, and even though it looks like okay, it almost kind of looks uniform. right? We see clearly this was the focus word, that, right? It just happens to be in, you know, the context I was imagining. It came out that way. It could be like, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. It could be on great, depends. But notice we do still kind of have this general falling towards the end, even though it looks a little even. It's still kind of falling, especially if we look at this part, it's kind of falling towards the end. And we say, that's a great, that's a good, we start at the great there. That's a great, the G starts there, but notice how small this is, especially the A. That's I'm not saying that's a, it was this one here.
That's a
So you kind of got it in there, right? Definitely we can see the too much breath there. So you notice mine. That's a, you're like, that's a, so we can actually see that breath. That's the wrong one. Okay. So it's close, but you just kind of got to get closer to the right rhythm, the right stress pattern. And you've improved on that, but you need to continue doing that. I think that's your biggest weakness. So pretty good. Very, very good overall. You guys are doing great. I don't have a whole lot to say about things. That was a different email. Kevin. Where's the audio? What? I know the audio is here. This is weird. So Kevin sent me one, and I know when I opened it on my phone, there was an audio file, but now the email is saying that there is no audio file. So if Kevin is here and he wants to try to send that audio file again, then that would be great. But otherwise, I actually don't have an audio file to work with. So unfortunately, we're going to have to skip that one. We can go to OW. So you're actually the last one here that we have. This is a great idea. It's a positive one, so we'll move this out of the way. I'm going to go check the chat here in a second. You are now in stereo. Congratulations. Okay.
That's a great idea.
Oof.
That's a great idea.
Quality, recording quality is very low here. This might be hard to work with.
That's a great idea.
You sound like you're talking through a voice synthesizer.
That's a great idea.
Like a literal robot. Nothing to do with how you're actually speaking, but it's just the quality of the recording sounds like a robot.
That's a great idea.
That's okay. We'll ignore that. We should be able to get some stuff out of this. I know not everybody has a good, nice microphone that's super clear like I do, and that's fine. Finn is here again. A is here again. Long time no see. Yeah, I know, right? Where did Finn go? He just like disappeared. Only to return today. Thank you, my dear. I'm learning a lot from your English channel. I always recommend it to my students. I'm a teacher. Oh, good. Awesome. Very, very nice. Well, the biggest thing I would hope that you do is to train your ears and then help your students train their ears. And if you don't do anything else as a teacher, that's the single best gift that you can give to them and to yourself. More than the grammar, more than the vocabulary, more than even the pronunciation itself that you're training. That is the number one base of everything. Okay, LTO. I don't know. I don't even know what that is. So, is there a conversation app you use? I do not. I don't use. I know there's like things like HelloTalk and stuff. I mean, if you go on italki, I think there's a way to leave like voice messages or whatever. I'm not sure, but I mean, since I'm probably going to kind of be leaving this whole thing, I guess we can have a brief conversation since you're a longtime subscriber and whatnot. So just contact me on italki. There's a link in the description. I'm going to be continuing teaching classes for a little while. I don't know how long, but I just won't be making content anymore. Kevin is here. Kevin is here. Kevin, I don't know if you were here when I mentioned it, but your recording, your email does not have the recording. I'm pretty sure it did when I saw it on my phone. Oh, good. You did send it to me again. So never mind. We already got that. Okay. So I got your recording. Good. So we'll make sure to get to that. That'd be like good closure. Yeah. Yeah. We can do something like that. It's okay. Kramer and Elaine. Oh, Kramer, you mean? Yeah. K-R-A. Yeah, Kramer. What do you think of his voice? I mean, Jerry. He's a normal person. He has sort of a distinct, speaking style and stuff. I mean, Seinfeld, obviously, it's a sitcom, and there's like jokes, and people really picked up on like the exaggeration that he uses and things and whatever. If you listen to him speak normally, just like in everyday life, interviews he's done and stuff, yeah, I mean, he has sort of a distinct way of speaking and whatnot, but he sounds like a normal person, and um, like think of Obama, like if he's giving a speech, it's going to be very, dramatic and certain. But you listen to him speak in real life, he still kind of sounds the same, but he has his own way of speaking. People have, their own mannerisms and speech patterns and stuff, and it's all within the realm of normal, I think, for the most part. But when somebody's famous and people pick up on the speech patterns, then it's like, oh, you sound like Obama, you sound like Jerry Seinfeld, and so it might just remind us, you kind of sound more like this person in terms of how you're doing intonation or certain aspects of speech, and in that case, you're probably going to stand out because you sound like someone famous, right? And you probably want to avoid just sounding like you're trying to sound like that person, and so that would be the only reason why I would say to like not sound like that person. But I think they sound normal and fine. Oh my god, I can almost guarantee we're not going to have time. But if you want to send it, if you go up in the chat, I listed my email, so you can send it there. Does A on the word fast and practice sound the same? Fast, as and cat. Practice, Yep, it's exactly the same sound. When I first popped up here, it was 15, 16, now I'm 19. Wow, yeah. Yeah, the channel's been going on for a while. Well, congratulations. Welcome to adulthood. Fun, yeah. Okay, let's see. Finish here again. Right. Same vowel, fast practice. Yes, and okay. Good. So let's get back to this.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Okay. So you're putting the focus on great, which is fine, right? That's a great idea. Now it does sound a little exaggerated, a little drawn out. That's a great idea. It's a great idea. So it's maybe a little too long. Right. If you want to say like, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Or, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Then yeah, but the intonation and the length are just a little mismatched.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
That's a.
That's a
So you're definitely forward, shallow. Back of the tongue is probably too high, but I'm definitely getting forwardness too high in the middle. Da. So you're not saying like da. You're saying like da. It's basically the right sound. It's kind of close to the ah, like in I, sort of I and ow. So it's maybe a little bit off, but I've definitely heard worse. Definitely you seem shifted forward.
That's a great
That's a.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Okay. The I kind of hear like maybe you're getting a little bit of like a tap or almost like a tap, like gre, gre, gre. I'm not sure. Sometimes I hear that and it's not there, but it could have an effect from other aspects of posture. Maybe the front of your tongue is getting a little too loose on the R.
Great.
But after that, the R sounds pretty solid.
Great.
Gre, 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 gre.
Great.
So make sure that you don't feel the front of the tongue doing this as you go into the R. It's not supposed to be like this. It's just it just curls in the middle.
Great idea. Great idea. Great idea. Great idea. Great idea.
Okay, a little great idea. Great idea. It's close, but could be a little more smooth. A little choppy.
Great idea. Great idea.
And then idea. Your E is like E, Ia. So you need the right center of gravity.
Great idea.
You make sure your tongue isn't forward, especially the front, being you don't want it to be scooping around like this.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Also, I can hear tension here, especially on the great.
That's a great.
I'm not gonna be able to mimic it, but that's a great. Yeah, there's tension here. Probably also maybe tension on the back of the tongue, maybe pushing it up a little bit.
That's a great idea.
But yeah, I can hear it. A lot of the time, one of the problems with forming the R that a lot of people have, because a lot of languages seem to be tenser here. And so even if you can kind of loosen it, or even if you don't loosen it, when you get to certain sounds like the this might tense up even more. And you end up kind of being choked here a little bit, and it affects how the voice is coming out. It could affect the quality of the sound.
That's a great idea. That's a.
I think also on when you're trying to say that's it's a little tight here. That's a great idea. It's a great idea. So definitely a top of throat tension. Your voice placement is also probably too high. You want to make sure put 2 fingers right. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. If you feel like you're vibrating more here, you're good. If you feel like you're vibrating more here, it's not necessarily the end of the world. But usually when I work with people, they shift this, it shifts down here. And you're mostly just trying to get rid of that tension, that sort of closeness in your throat, which to you feels relaxed. But it needs to be more open. So yeah.
That's a great idea.
Definitely, you sound there's an accent for sure. It's not the thickest accent ever, which is nice, but
That's a great idea.
if I had to guess, you sound maybe like you're from the Middle East.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Maybe somewhere in Europe, even Greek, possibly. I really don't know. I don't have a lot of exposure to certain accents, but just going off of references I've had, maybe Middle Eastern, kind of around Greek, Italy, maybe somewhere in there.
That's a great.
It's hard to say actually, so that's actually a good sign because I'm.
That's a great idea.
It's hard for me to pinpoint exactly where.
That's a great idea.
Anyway, yeah. So if you want to fill us in what your native language is, see how close I was, that would be interesting. But otherwise, pretty good job. So try to take those points in mind and see if you can improve those. Oh, looks like we're coming up on an ad, guys. So some of you are going to disappear for a minute. Sorry, but it is what it is. I'll at least make sure Kevin's here because I'm about to look at your recording. So tell me in 10 seconds if you're still here, Kevin, or if I don't hear from you, I'll assume you're watching an ad. You're welcome. If anyone here has, yes, I'm here. Okay, good. Yay. If anyone here has Discord and feels like talking to me after the stream, y'all can send me your usernames. Yeah, go talk to Finn. Because Bro's been here a while. Yeah, I know, right? By the way, Josh, I already hit you up and I talking. Okay, good. Yeah, I'll get to that a little later. We'll sort it out. Okay, so Kevin is here. I've been here longer than you. I know, right? Yeah, a lot of you guys are OGs. Okay, Kevin, recording, download, open, narrate everything I do. Like the only person who actually sends a stereo recording. I'm surprised Mr. A, has never sent in a recording, especially since this is probably the last chance he'll ever get.
That's not a bad idea.
Okay.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
Mm-hmm. That's a great idea. Whoops, wrong one. Things got mixed up. That's okay. This looks really messy. This one. Okay, it's a little better. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea.
Let's amplify that a little bit more.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea. Okay, so again, the intonation isn't necessarily a problem. Let's see if we actually do have an intonation problem.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
Okay. You got a little bit of that shotgun pattern of rhythm. Like listen to the smoothness of the stress, bit with the intonation, but how the sounds link, how the stress, goes in and out. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. Dun, 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 dun. That's not a bad idea. Right? It's just little pebbles, or like you're skipping rocks on a pond. It's fine. And then this,
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
it's kind of like it feels to me like it's a mix between like Spanish pattern and English pattern.
That's not a bad idea.
It's like dun, da, 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 is like kind of everything it's not everything, but it kind of just like stands out more. It sounds like little shots.
That's not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Bad idea. Oops. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. See, it's close. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. So it could be actually maybe some of your posture, the way that you're forming some of the sounds, especially around the Ds, that's kind of giving it that effect. It could be rooted in the Ds, because if you don't quite do the Ds right and they come off like too harsh, especially if you have a lack of breath, that can actually help to create this sense of like they're being cut. Things are being cut. Like bad idea instead of bad idea, bad idea, bad idea, bad idea. So that could be smoother for sure. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
Let me see. I cut it off, maybe because I cut it off, but it does sound like there's like the breath is low.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
Through this part, it seems like it's a bit better as we get towards the end,
Bad idea. Bad idea.
especially on ideas. Like idea. It's like it just kind of like cuts off.
Bad idea. 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 Idea.
Maybe there's a little more there, but either way, by that point, it should sound sort of like it's tapering more. So there's something there, obviously, but okay. Yeah. So a little bit more on the breath, maybe. That's not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea. That's not.
Okay, I'm getting that's almost kind of Russian of you.
That's not.
That's. Yes, I have. That's like the only word I can really say in Russian consistently. Have. Yes, I have. Well, not in Russian, but with a Russian accent.
That's not a bad idea.
So that tells me that as you're going from the to the ah, probably you're out of place, you're too high, and then as you open to the ah, you're doing something like this. And we're getting sort of that Y, like a small Y in there. Yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, that's. We don't want that. You don't want a Y there.
That's not.
That's. So I don't, when I go from the TH, I don't do this. I do this. Okay. So you got to make sure, remember, we're lined up under the bump. We have our hinge. We're just coming off the hinge as we go to ah. The TH stretches, but it's going to sort of unstretch as we go to the ah. So there shouldn't be any of this motion when you're going from TH to ah.
That's not a bad idea. 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 That's not a.
So your ah sounds a little bit like the unmerged ah, which is okay. That's not wrong. But
That-
if you're trying to use the merger, you want to get a little farther back.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. 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 Not a bad idea.
So your nada, it's again a little towards that Spanish ah. Nada.
Not a bad idea.
Nada. It's hard for me to pick out, but I think it's a little forward maybe. Sounds pretty schwa-like to me.
Not a bad idea. not a bad idea,
Yeah.
not a bad idea, not a bad idea,
Sometimes I listen to it and I'm like, it sounds closer to ah. Sometimes I listen to it and it sounds closer to hard to pick out.
not a bad idea, 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 not a bad idea,
And then you're saying dia, kind of like dia in Spanish. But it's like idea, not idea. So it's like you're doing like D with like the accent on the e, so it breaks the diphthong because it's not supposed to be like dia in Spanish. It's like dia, right? And in English, it's idea. We don't want to say idea or idea. It just the sounds just flow. There is a little small y there linking because we're going from the e, but you kind of sound like you're sort of trying to break them a little bit and put more on the e. But we need to just drift towards the end. Idea, not idea.
not a bad idea, not a bad idea,
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. See, we go here. Bad idea. Bad idea. Idea. Intonation aside. Bad idea. Stupid. Idea. 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 So it's subtle. It's really small, but it makes a little difference there. Idea.
dia, dia, dia,
Dia. I'm not saying dia. So also probably your tongue is a little too high here, and that's causing extra tension and less space, and so it's making it sound even harsher. So maybe a little bit with posture, a little bit with breath. That rhythm, I think, is the biggest thing overall.
that's not a bad idea, that's not a bad idea,
I'm not really hearing too much of an accent.
that's not a bad idea, that's not a bad idea, that's not a bad idea,
Yeah, a lot of I could imagine, aside from the little details I pointed out, I can imagine a native sounding like this for the most part.
that's not a bad idea, that's not a bad idea,
So, yeah, pretty high level. But you have enough to unlike some of the other recordings today, you have the things that stand out a bit more than a lot of the other ones. So mostly it's kind of just like smoothing things out, breathing through a little bit more. Probably a little bit with the tongue height, a little bit with the tongue forwardness, but it's really good. It's very, very good. I don't know, I give you at least 95 overall on this. And if we're talking accent specifically, probably 99. So that's really good. Did we have any other last minute submissions? No. And that's good because we're out of time. Yay. Let's catch up with the chat. We'll stop sharing here. Your corners. Definitely you're the best. Oh my God. He approves. You can now die happy. Anyway, thanks. I'm from Mexico. Oh, interesting. So a Spanish speaker. Well, maybe it had a little bit to do with the low quality of the recording itself. But I would not identify you as a Spanish speaker. So at least you got that going. You're moving in the right direction because you sound less like a Spanish speaker. But maybe you're kind of you need to readjust a couple things because but that's not bad. The very first person was also very good. Yes, Mobeen is always good. Did you read? Yeah, that used to be King Lion. I actually remember you, Finn. Yeah, I might have a faint memory of your name, but I don't really. This is what you get, Finn, for being out of the loop. How dare you go have a life and not sit and wait for every little thing that I post? You're not a fan, not a true fan. Anyway, threats can also be. Wait, what? Threats? Is there a missing R there? Can also sound Midwestern. No. I don't know what word that was. His I in idea is raised, probably. idea. Yeah. Yeah, a little also for Kevin, there's probably a bit of extra tension on throughout your tongue as well. If you got a little bit more relaxed, that would actually probably clear up a lot of things. Um, do, 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 do. I still think you're the best. However, your back of the tongue could be better. I have another problem now. My throat becomes tinsel. Yeah, that's usually how it goes. Right? There's system 1, system 2, and where they meet is back of the tongue, top of the throat. They go together ultimately. So sometimes it helps just to focus on one first, and then once you get it under control, then you can go to the other one and kind of try to work it in. And as you're working on this one's going to go back to how it was temporarily, because you're focusing here, and then like, okay, I can stabilize that. Let me get them working together. It's part of the process. Some people can just switch both of them relatively quickly and get things moving. Some people have to break it into 2 pieces, and they might get stuck on one longer than the other. Everybody's a little bit different, but it's all the same basic process. You just break it down and build the muscles you need to build, stabilize things, remove extra tension. It's all the same process. Thanks, teacher. You're welcome, Kevin. It has to do with it. The way the last person pronounced that's. Oh, I see. Yeah. You wrote the ats. So I thought it was like threats with a missing R. So that's can also sound. Oh yeah. So like with that Y sound in there. That's. So I wouldn't necessarily say Midwestern. Maybe there's some Midwesterners somewhere, but like if I were doing a Southern accent, I might say like, "That's a great idea. That's because I'm actually doing like this. That's a great idea." So yeah, in some accents, I mean, you might get that, but in standard general American, we would avoid that. Who was the best in your opinion? It's hard to say. There were so many good ones today. Well, it's got to be between King Lion and Mobina. And I don't know if I can say which one was better. I think they're kind of equivalent. I did pick out a couple more things from Mobina this time than last time, but I mean, yeah, they're both pretty much S tier, if you get the gaming reference. So this is the last time we're going to see you. It could be. That would be a safe assumption. As I said last time, if I come back, I'll have to like be able to afford an editor and not have to worry about any of the editing, because I'm done with that for sure. Oh yeah, you weren't here last time, Abdullah. You can go watch the end of the last live stream and whatnot, the whole channel. Yeah, so right now where I'm at, so the live streams are stopping. This is the last live stream. I'll always be here. Oh, good. You shall wait for my return. Hopefully you don't die first, because that might happen. But yeah, the live streams are stopping. The channel. So I mean, I still have the L colored vowel lesson, which I kind of want to push out because it's already partway done, and it's sort of that last big piece in the mouth posture stuff. I know there was phase like 2B, but that's just kind of like putting things together, extra practice stuff. Like all the core information kind of stops at the L. So I do want to eventually get that out. But so I'm not going to say 100% certain that you will never see me again, that I will never make content again on this channel. But it's probably not likely. It's not something I would expect to happen or count on. There is a possibility. Because as I said, like I'm not the same person I was. A lot of things are changing. Maybe as I settle into things over the next 6 months to a year or whatever, maybe I'll want to come back. I wouldn't count on that. But again, if conditions are right, I may at some point come back in some form. Again, conditions being right, meaning like I have money to pay for an editor and stuff. But yeah, so again, without like if I just told you guys what it was, it would be a little easier to explain. But I'm not going to tell you what it is. Will that eye color thing be your last vid, or the L color? L color, yeah. So right now the R color is the last video. If I push out the L color video, which I probably will at some point, that will probably be the last video. Yes. So it is what it is, and you know, I'm sad about it, but it's just where things are. You know, because I know a lot of people get benefit from the channel, and a lot of you guys like, you know, asking me questions and interacting with me and all that stuff. But it is how it is. Do you regret starting this channel? No. No. I mean, I think just like in many ways, it has benefited me, even obviously not monetarily. That's always been a struggle, but just like mentally, and you know, because like as I said, I don't really talk much in daily life, but like with you guys, like I probably seem like this, you know, super relaxed, expressive person who, you know, could just like walk into a party and just start chatting up with people, and I would definitely not do that. I wouldn't even go to the party. But yeah, and then, you know, I've become more aware of how my own language works, so that's cool. I've helped a lot of people. I'm not going to take the channel down, because like I still get comments from people saying, "Oh, I just found your channel. Like, it's so great. Your video helps, and all the other teachers don't make sense, and blah 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 blah." And that's awesome. So I want other people to continue to find it and all that stuff. You left us for about 6 months at some point. Yeah. That, looking back, that was ultimately a symptom of what I'm going through now, but I was completely unaware of it. It was very, very in my subconscious at that point. And there was also a lot of other stuff going on at that time as well, like a lot of stuff. Not like there's just a lot of extra stress from other sources. And so that wasn't the same thing, but at the root of it, it kind of comes back to what I'm going through now. So yeah, and then I came back, I felt motivated, I felt energized, I kind of missed the channel, and I wanted to, you know, try to get things going again. And then life hits you like a, you know, like a ton of bricks, and you have certain realizations, and certain things happen, and planes fly over to obscure my voice. So yeah, one thing I will say though, if I ever come back, you guys will know, or I'll tell you what the thing is. So that would be interesting. Thanks, you're a great teacher. I wish you the best. Well, you too. Thank you very much, and I wish you the best as well. I wish everyone the best. I'm kind of sad. It just feels like ending, like things are ending. Thank you so much for everything. You're welcome. So yeah, I might occasionally respond to comments, but I'm probably not even going to be responding to comments anymore. Curiosity is killing me. Goodbye, sir. I know. One day that curiosity may be sated. So anything else before I go? As I said before, it is ultimately a positive thing. So don't think like I'm walking into some deep darkness that, you know, I'll never recover from and my life is ending. It's quite the opposite, actually. If anything, my life is finally beginning after 35 years. And I'm kind of bitter about that, actually. Goodbye, English hacks. Yeah, you've helped me a lot. Oh, glad. That means extra coming from you. Because I mean, you got it, sir. Like, you have a good ear. You can hear things that sometimes I don't even hear. You don't even need my help anymore. You have graduated. I know you probably don't feel that way, but farewell, English hacks. Yes. Does anyone here have Discord? Vince was like, hey, before we leave, yo, guys, Discord. Better late than never. Yeah, I know, right? So I will be, I forgot to close down the memberships last live stream. I know I said I was going to do that. So I'm definitely going to do that today. I'm going to close down the memberships because otherwise you guys will just be supporting nothing. Yeah, I definitely appreciate the members that we did get. I'm sorry that I started that back up and then, here it is ending again. It is what it is, like Mobina. Wait, what's happening? I just joined. What's happening is that this live stream is about to end. This is the last live stream, and it may be the very last piece of content that I ever post on the channel. If you're not sure why, you can go watch the end of the last live stream where I kind of tried to describe that without saying exactly what it is. And we're just kind of in the process of saying farewell, potentially forever. I reviewed your recording earlier, Mobina. You were the first one. Very good job overall. I did find some extra little details to nitpick, but that's really what it was. It was nitpicking. I was just trying to find something to help you. You're like 0.5% off, if that. So very good job. If your content is up, keep it. Yeah, I'm going to keep the channel up. Channel won't be going away, so no need to worry about that. Yeah, I know. I really enjoyed your content. I know. That's sad. I was just about to say goodbye, and Mobina's like, oh, now I have to say goodbye too. And I'm just like, more goodbye. But yeah, here we are. Oh, there's an ad coming up, so if I'm gone when you come back, that's how it is. I'll wait a minute, but yeah, I don't think I really have much else to say. If I have anything to say, I should say it now. But I think that's about it. Yeah. Anyway, so I was glad I was able to help you guys. And again, maybe there's a slight possibility. Maybe I'll come back at some point, but I wouldn't count on it. So we'll see how it goes. And yeah, I feel so sad and really bad, but this is what has to happen. You're welcome, Fernando. All right. Well, I will maybe see you guys later, and if not, you can do it, right? You don't need me. I try to give you the techniques. You can figure it out, and we'll be looking forward to it. Yeah. But yeah, you guys can figure it out. Just believe in yourselves. Use some of the things I taught you, and I know you can figure it out. So, all right, I will see you maybe in the future. Bye. This is crazy. I know, right, Finn? Anyway, I'll see you and I talking.